Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com, this is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
Oh, boy. Have you been paying attention to this inquiry underway right now? Holy mackerel. What a total, absolute, utter, disgraceful lack of leadership at every level. We were failed by the city of Ottawa, city councillors, the mayor, Ottawa police, and yes, the province of Ontario. I don't know about you, but to me it's becoming glaringly evident that nobody in authority knew what to do with the convoy, or if they did know what to do, couldn't buck up the common sense or the courage to do it. And now, fingers pointing everywhere. The mayor in particular should be ashamed of himself. I have always supported this mayor. I always thought that at the very least he was honest, didn't agree with everything, but I am really, really disappointed. He has allowed political partisanship to overtake honesty and integrity. The mayor forgets that he is supposed to represent all the city of Ottawa, and all the city of Ottawa is not liberal. It's shameful. He told the inquiry, among other things, that the truckers had come here to protest the mask mandates, which he claimed were, of course, the responsibility of the province. It's all Doug Ford's fault, he said. But he was lying, and he knew he was lying. Everybody knows it wasn't the mask mandate that the truckers were objecting to, but rather the federal regulations concerning vaccines, which took jobs away from many truckers. Hey, look, the signs, and there were many which made their way to Ottawa, did not say F. Ford. They said F. Trudeau. It is so disappointing that Jim Watson, who I have known and respected for many, many years, well before he ran for mayor, I knew him, and I never thought he would do something like this. But in a moment, I guess when the heat is on, partisanship overtakes honesty. But he's not alone. He's not alone in the responsibility. Unbelievable. I mean, he claims that it's Ford. And of course, so does Trudeau, the two liberals commiserating with each other. Meantime, we all know it was the city and the police which allowed the truckers, invited them even, to assemble on Wellington Street and park there, even providing accommodation in the ballpark for them. The police were handicapped. I feel sorry for the men and women on the beat. They're good, honest, hardworking people. Total, absolute, complete, disgraceful, unbelievable lack of leadership. This guy Soley, I don't know where the hell we got him. What a dud. I mean, no other way to describe it. It's just a total, absolute dud. I don't know whether he didn't have the courage to confront it, whether he didn't have the brains, whether it was, I have no idea, but he just appears impotent. Impotent. I mean, they didn't even try to enforce bylaws, didn't try to enforce laws, didn't even try it. Claimed, oh, well, we don't have enough police officers here. Baloney. There was no violence there. These weren't violent people. They were family people, for goodness sakes, hardworking people, some of them with their children. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then, of course, when we talk about total lack of leadership, being let down, we the public, the tax-paying public, we're just screwed, blued, hued, and tattooed by everybody, including the media. which exaggerated and lied about many of the things that were happening. Even today, we've still got the media or segments of it claiming that there was chaos on the Hill, threats of violence, swastikas were being paraded, that the Nazi cards were being handed out, that the Russians were financing it, the Americans were financing it, the terrorists were taking over, everybody was dancing on the. I mean, these stories are floating everywhere. It's all bullshit. It's all a lie. But I mean, so how does that serve the public? The city didn't serve the public. That's you and me. John, it's you and me. City didn't serve us. Our police didn't serve us. The federal government didn't serve us. And the province didn't serve us. And the media sure as hell didn't serve us. Lied to. Cowardice. Lack of action. And so who paid the price in the end? Well, all of our civil rights. Because Watson and Soley and the police and Ford and Trudeau and all the rest of them didn't do their jobs, didn't even try to do their jobs. Who paid the price? Well, all of our civil rights were removed. Some of our bank accounts frozen. We paid the price, the innocent. We didn't do anything except pay the freaking taxes. Trudeau runs and hides. What was his contribution? Runs and hides. And inflames the situation by calling the truckers and their families all sorts of names, including people who supported them. Called them everything from terrorists to, I don't know. I mean, we all know what he did. He just inflamed the situation. Let's be honest. Do you know the only person who came forward to show any leadership whatsoever? Not the media, not Watson, not city councilors. Not talking about city councilors, just to show you the dishonesty of some councilors. There is this woman who would be mayor and may very well become our mayor, telling the inquiry that she believes that it was the truckers, the convoy people, who set the fire in the condo. Even though charges have been laid against local people and police say no trucker or convoy representative was responsible in any way for the fire. But Catherine McKinney testifies before the inquiry that she still believes it was the truckers that lit the fire. Doesn't matter what the police say or anything. Oh, no, this is a woman who wants to be mayor. Just as one example of the way that we have been misled, let down, truth defiled. The only person who showed any leadership was one young woman who entirely on her own, as far as we know, just a young woman, just an ordinary woman, not even sure if she's married or a student or what, but a young woman got a court injunction to stop the horn blowing. And you know what? When the law was passed, almost everybody obeyed it, didn't honk the horns anymore. And all of the people that we pay dearly for, the police, the city councilors, the mayor, the province, and everything, and the only person who came forward to was somebody that we don't pay. One single woman on her own took some action. The only leadership we had in the whole time. It's unbelievable. It would seem to me that if it doesn't involve emissions, global warming, none of our leaders are the least bit concerned. We have a healthcare system that is crumbling, if it's not already crumbled. Stories more even again today about overcrowding. Hospitals now are renting rooms, motel rooms to store patients, putting them in closets, hallways. We've known this. We've known this for years. Did we do anything about it? No. What did we do? Well, we were far more interested at the provincial and federal level and city level, far more interested in reducing emissions, buying electric vehicles, erecting windmills and solar panels. Do you realize that about 5 years ago, maybe it was 6 years now, 12 hospital, engineering, and other officials got together and a special panel to choose a site for a new civic hospital. Civic hospital is over 100 years old. Should have been torn down years ago. 12 leading citizens, hospital officials, engineers, people who knew what they were doing, knew what the requirements were, doctors and nurses. 12 panel examined all the possible sites for a new hospital in this city, and unanimously, all 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all 12 said the only site is right across the road, right across Carling Avenue. There's an empty field there. In the summertime, grows weeds and dandelions. A little bit of corn once in a while. That's where it should go. John Baird, conservative member, cabinet, says, you want that? That's the land that you choose? You got it, $1 a year. It's federal property. Along come the Liberal. Oh, no, we can't do that. John Baird approved that. So what happened? Moved it to another site. 5 years later, they still haven't got a shovel in the ground. Meantime, where the hospitals are storing people in hallways, in closets, in bathrooms, and gymnasiums. You see the latest? I didn't know there was a gymnasium, but apparently there's a gym, a workout gym at the Civic Hospital. And no more gym. They're putting beds in it. They build a big tent structure outside, and it's filled. What were we doing here? Buying electric buses. Planning to install windmills, and even the oh yeah, and the woman who would be mayor says, "Oh no, we're not worried about that. No, no, no healthcare. No, no, no. That's not our responsibility. We'll spend $280 million on bike lanes." Folks, we pay taxes through the yin yang. We are among the most taxed people in the world, and the most poorly serviced people in the world. And this in particular, when it comes to health care, when it comes to crime, when it comes to matters that really matter, infrastructure, etc., we are abandoned. We pay taxes through the yin yang, and as we can see from the convoy, you know what we get? Bugger all. Windmills, solar panels, electric buses. Electric buses which will run empty through Canada at 8 o'clock at night. John, I know it sounds like a terror, but I mean, I am so disgusted. I've been around this old sun 86 times, seen a lot, interviewed every prime minister from, well, John Diefenbaker on. Played a role in a good many things in this city. I have never seen such incompetence, such bumbling, such misdirection, so many lies, so much cowardice, so much stupidity in all my life. I haven't. I really, really haven't. I don't know what else I can say, folks. Leave it up to you. John, what are people saying?
And on Monday, Lowell, we'll get what? 30% voter turnout?
If lucky, yes.
People just don't care.
If we only get 30%, then Catherine McKinney becomes mayor.
Yep.
And we will get $280 million worth of bike lanes and free bus transportation, which doesn't affect 2/3 of the city. 2/3 of the city doesn't have access to the buses, or simply they can't use the buses. And I would say probably about 90, maybe 95% of the population will never ride bicycles in downtown Ottawa. Go ahead, John. What do we got?
All right, here are your contact us information, folks. 613-413-2217. 613-413-2217. You can call or you can text the show at that number. We're on Facebook, The Lowell Green, Milkman Show, and BTRradio.com, YouTube, and Twitch. Of course, just go to lowellgreen.com. All your show links are there. All right, here we go. Donald says, I'm going to vote Monday for Mark. All right, you do that. Good job. Let's go to text. Could we remember that the protest would have ended if Junior would have met with the people protesting? Junior is exclusively to blame.
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's exclusively to blame. I think there's plenty of blame to go around. But I am interested in hearing who you blame. I just don't say. And you know what? It's time that we pointed some fingers here. Everybody else is. But maybe we who pay the bills and we're inconvenienced etc., etc. Maybe it's time that we spoke up. There's plenty of blame to go around, but I'm going to tell you most definitely a lot of it does rest with Trudeau, who did nothing but inflame the situation. Those signs, I repeat, folks, those signs, and there were many of them, didn't say F Ford. They said F Trudeau. Go ahead, please.
Leadership, by its very definition, would mean that Justin Trudeau, with his name on those, clearly targeted, clearly what was fueling that anger and fueling that protest, a leader would say, okay, it's me you're coming for. It's me you want to talk to. Here I am. Let's talk. And
But how
that
about?
would have diffused the whole thing.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more, John.
A leader would do that.
Yeah, a leader with courage and conviction and honesty and
It's pretty
integrity.
simple.
But look at okay, Trudeau. But how about Jim Watson going before the inquiry under oath, saying that they came here because of the mask mandates, when he knew that's not true at all. Mask mandates were of no concern to the well, very little.
There
It
were a
was not.
couple of signs here and there about the masks.
But the reason they came and the reason they were truckers is because out of nowhere, after about 2 years of not requiring vaccines to cross the border, Trudeau suddenly introduces a vaccine mandate, which means that many of the truckers who weren't vaccinated or didn't have the full dosage were couldn't do their jobs. That's what the protest was about, not the mask. It was the federal instituted, launched vaccine mandates at the border. And everybody knows that. But there is the mayor, the city of Ottawa mayor. I mean, this is the capital city, and the mayor lies about the intent of the convoy, trying to mislead. I mean, I was shocked. I was shocked right down through to the soles of my feet that the mayor of the city or any city would lie and be that dishonest out of pure partisanship. He's a liberal. He didn't want to say or do anything that would reflect badly on Trudeau, the fellow liberal. Sad, sad. Go ahead, John.
All right, let's get to a couple of comments. We do have to get a word in for Shields here in a couple of minutes. I know you don't have a clock in your room. We're 20 minutes in. We'll get to Shields in just a sec. Here are a few of the comments. Ann says, we're being governed by a bunch of dimwits. Peter says, Watson's a joke. Nothing but a stupid liberal looking for a Senate seat or some sweet deal. Says he followed the media for his information. What a boob. He's as disgusting as Trudeau.
You know what? Actually, I think it's Brian Lilly in the Sun today suggests that maybe this partisanship on behalf of the mayor is because he has a Senate seat in waiting. And you know what? I'm going to watch that very closely. If, in fact, Jim Watson, after retiring as mayor, becomes a senator, I'm going to raise bloody hell. I mean, that. I mean, to me, that's like a form of bribery. From the if in fact this is what it is that somehow or other he's been promised, you go along with me,
Well,
Trudeau, we'll get you a senatorship.
Vern White's vacating his seat. I mean, 2 + 2, right?
I don't know. It's tragic that, and as I say, through all of this, the mayor, the city councilors, police, Jim Ford or Doug Ford, and the prime minister. The only person who showed any leadership is one young woman,
who, by the way, was 21 and a federal public servant. We found that out through the comments.
Unbelievable. One woman, and she took this and immediately got action. And you know what? And I keep saying, all of this chaos and criminal activities and so forth. When they were confronted with a judge's order, stop the horn honking, 99% of them stopped the horn honking. They obeyed the law. I got to get a word. We're talking about incompetence, stupidity, and cowardice. None of that is applicable to Shields. Okay, that's the best I can do. But seriously, when you're looking for solid leadership, I'll tell you where we do get solid leadership in many instances. Not just the Shields, but many of the smaller business people. This is where leadership is. Somehow or other, most of our small businesses have managed to survive through some very difficult times, thanks to many of the mandates, as a matter of fact. One of those that since 1947 has done very well, has thrived, is Shields. up there in Pakenham. Same family, same location. One of the major suppliers of appliances. They're in stock. Their appliances are in all the brand names. Yeah, they have them all. Big ones. GE, Westinghouse, Maytag, the whole shebang. And they are now registered dealership for Sony. Good people know what they're doing. Nothing stupid there. Nothing cowardice there. They do business the right way, the Ottawa Valley way. Shields. Shields.ca. Go ahead, John.
All right, let's go to email. The email address here is lowell@blasttheradio.com. This is from Paul in Canada. Regarding the trucker protest in Ottawa, from what I've heard from the testimony, it sounds like the main reason it could not be cleared earlier was incompetence all around. But to top it all off, after hiding and then COVID quarantine for about 10 days, Justin Trudeau comes out and accuses Doug Ford of not stepping up to help clear the protest. This was not a national emergency, but rather a demonstration of incompetence of leadership, in my opinion.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And I don't think they even tried to get them out. What attempts were made? And one of the requirements in order to enforce this Emergency Measures Act is that all other attempts, legal attempts, must have been made and failed. I don't think any attempts were made to clear them prior to this. Go ahead, please, John.
Lacey says the Ottawa Police Service is a complete joke, and so is Watson. Maggie's on Facebook. Her comment is as follows: McKinney is just as bad as Watson. Time to dig up what they have hiding in their closets. All right. Cheryl
Can you
says,
imagine McKinney? Once again, this is testimony under oath. She says, well, I don't believe the police. I know charges were laid against 2 people for setting the fire in the condo, or trying to. And the police say they had nothing to do with the convoy. They're local residents. I don't believe that, says Catherine. My feeling is that they were members of the convoy. I mean, she wants to be mayor. Go ahead.
as you said, they were local people. And look, we talked about this when the convoy was happening. There are a lot of people who use events like that as an opportunity to just go and be jerks. And these, in my opinion, are a couple of people who use that as an opportunity to be jerks. They weren't truckers. They were hanging out around the truckers and set a fire. Purely.
I'm not even sure about that, but go ahead. But the police say they had nothing to do with the truckers, local residents. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Trudeau wanted to show his power to the enemies and still does what he wants to this date, says Peter. All right, Cheryl says Trudeau and his Liberals, Watson and the council, media, they all lied and they all fuel it.
Let me talk about Trudeau a little bit. I am shocked. He addressed, I don't know, he loves to be on the world stage, right? So he addressed some world leaders someplace, somehow, some reason, I don't know. And you would think that at this stage he would be saying, look, to Europe, we're going to do everything we can to speed things up. We want to get our oil and gas to you. We've got enough oil and gas in our country to last over 100 years. We're going to do everything. We're going to build pipelines. We're going to get ship. We're going to get oil and gas to you as quickly as possible. No, you know what he said? Well, he said this just proves that we've got to get rid of oil and gas and rely more on windmills and solar panels. That's what he told them. That's his thrust. Even after all of this, in Europe, because they got rid of a lot of their natural gas and nuclear, they're now reverting to coal-fired. But Trudeau said, "Oh no, we got to continue along this path." Oh yeah. Go ahead, John.
Scares me to think that he was teaching the young. Oh. I mean, like if I'm in Europe right now, I don't have any gas coming my way because of the situation between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, great. So windmills, wonderful. Solar farms, wonderful. What are we looking at? 10, 15 years before those are up and ready to go and supply me with about 10% of the energy that I actually need? What do I do in the meantime? I freeze my buns off.
But wind and solar will never do the job because the wind doesn't blow sometimes, and the sun doesn't shine sometimes.
And every expert says, fine, wind and solar, wonderful, but you're always going to need a carbon-based backup.
Of course, absolutely. Wind doesn't always blow.
Right.
Go ahead, John.
Carl says, I guess you know that the Ottawa Police Association released a statement slamming mayoral candidate Catherine McKinney.
Well, yeah, Catherine is no friend of the police. She voted on one occasion to defund the police, I believe. This is the favorite left-wing. You know the way to fight crime? Just legalize crime. Let's legalize drug abuse. Just legalize every. So the answer, as far as the left wing is concerned, is not to get tough on crime or arrest,
run from it,
and make it legal. If it's legal, then it's no longer a crime, right? Go ahead.
Here's a text out of Alberta. In the heat of the moment, you see the true nature of a person.
By the way, running away and legalizing all of the crime is not working too well in Vancouver. They're now telling us that Vancouver is pretty well destroyed. I mean, if anybody who's ever been on the east side of Vancouver, it's tragic. It's because, they get free needles and free this and free that and everything. And it hasn't helped. It's just spread more and more and more. It used to be a wonderful, thriving Chinatown in East End, Vancouver. The Chinese all had to move out. They'd gone to Surrey. They couldn't put up with the crime that's going on there. Go ahead.
All right, 2 minutes left on the show, sir. Just to give you a heads up, Kevin says the cost to charge electric cars in California is now equal to that of gas-powered. And says Watson will get some kind of appointment. Peter says mandates are not really much to do with it. Trudeau spins it about masks and needles. No, it is people are fed up to the neck with everything Trudeau says and does. There is massive hate for this piece of garbage.
Well, there's some truth to that too. The number one reason for it, and it was mostly truckers who were here, was because of the vaccine mandates at the border, which took jobs away from many truckers, okay? So that's what they were protesting. But you're right, there were many other grievances, and I think rightly so. Go ahead.
All right, Lacey says she is a freedom fighter, and she has a question for you, Lowell. She says, what do we do when Trudeau's agenda takes away money completely? He says we will have a digital wallet, and if we aren't on good behavior, they can freeze the digital wallet. We can't go buy anything. I'm scared about this agenda, she says.
Well, you should be. I told you yesterday, and I wasn't making these figures up, if Trudeau continues increasing carbon tax, as he says he will, in slightly less than 3 years, 50% of the bill to heat your home with natural gas will be taxed. Right now, it's very close to 30%. In our case, 27% of my most recent Enbridge bill was taxed. In 3 years' time, slightly less, 50% of the money it takes to heat your home will be nothing but tax. If you're not as scared of that, then I don't know. Go ahead.
All right. Let's go 3 more comments, and then we'll wrap things up for today. The rest of the comments, Lowell, I will, of course, email to you. Sean says, Watson is absolutely looking for a federal appointment from his boy Trudeau. Craig says, you're disappointed because you were hoodwinked by a typical liberal. Watson is just as pathetic as Trudeau and his entire group. And Carl, last word will go to you today. Bunch of backstabbers, in my humble opinion.
Thank you all, folks. We'll be back tomorrow.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.